Good evening, boys and girls. Welcome back to the Steel Curtain Call, a show here on YouTube dedicated 100% to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm your host. My name's Patrick. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. I appreciate it. Don't forget, guys, if you're viewing us here on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That's really going to help the show out. And Patreon, patreon.com/the Steel Curtain Call. If you would like exclusive videos that are not available here on YouTube, you can support us on Patreon. The link's in the description. For just $1 a month, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, you get exclusive videos that you can't see here on YouTube, but the best part about it is you control the content. I've been saying that for a number of weeks now, but I mean it, guys. You guys tell me, and I make it. I put the show in your hands. That's how our Patreon works. As I've also said before, it's 100% optional. You do not have to do it, but if you would like exclusive videos, if you want more Steel Curtain Call content, you can support us on Patreon. Patreon.com/the Steel Curtain Call. The link's in the description. All right, guys, the first thing I want to start off with tonight is this. The Pittsburgh Steelers completely deserved to lose this football game. They are deserving of this beatdown and all the feelings of failure, embarrassment, and anguish that come along with it. They deserve every bit of it. The first reason they deserve it is this: pride. You can say whatever you want, guys, and I know that the players were saying in the locker room after the game that they weren't doing it, but they were. We were looking ahead to the New England Patriots. We had already decided in our mind that we were going to come in here fresh off a bye week, make light work of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we were already ready for the grudge match in Foxborough. And I'm not saying that every single player was not preparing for the Jaguars, but a good number of them weren't. And I think that is represented by two players, Mike Mitchell and Le'Veon Bell. If nothing else good happens to me in 2018, dear Lord, please let one thing happen. Please let one thing happen. Can we please be rid of Mike Mitchell? Can this guy please just go away? Before the game, Mike Mitchell is seen standing at the entrance of the Jaguars locker room, taunting them and talking trash. Great job, bud. And also, we all know by now the comment Mitchell made a little while back in an interview. He said, quote, "We can play the Patriots in hell, we can play them in Haiti, we can play them anywhere." Obviously referring to the rematch between Steelers-Patriots. You know, the last time I checked, there was no rematch. I don't remember the Patriots ever being on the schedule. Le'Veon Bell, he decided to be cocky as well. He also looked past the Jaguars, and he tweeted this before the game: "I love round twos. We'll have 2 round twos in back-to-back weeks." Yeah, okay. Pride and cockiness are terrible human traits, ladies and gentlemen, and I want to be clear about this. There is a fundamental difference between being confident and being prideful. This was not confidence, this was pride. We underestimated the Jaguars, we looked past our opponent, we did not take them seriously. We 100% deserve to lose this football game. The second reason the Steelers deserve to lose: absolute, utter, and total stupidity in coaching. Never in my life in one football game have I seen a breakdown in coaching like this. And it wasn't just one of them, guys. It was the offensive coordinator, it was the defensive coordinator, and it was the head coach. We are talking about coaching. We are talking about calls in this game that have no explanation. We are talking about calls that defy logic, everything about logic. I'm willing to stomach some gutsy, risky calls, and there's times where I'm able to watch a football game and just see that one team was better than us. They just came in with a better game plan than we did, and we just lost a good, clean football game. But that did not happen in this game, guys. We lost a football game because our coaching staff made decisions that were unjustifiable to the core. Absolutely no way to explain them. If you're coming on my show tonight and you're expecting me to somehow justify Mike Tomlin, Todd Haley, Keith Butler, I'm sorry, man. I got nothing for you. Having said all of that, we're going to jump right in, and we're going to start by talking about the offensive side of the football, and we will begin by talking about Todd Haley. If you have watched my show, and if you watch my show religiously, then you guys know where I come down on Todd Haley. I've been very hard on Todd Haley before. I've criticized him profusely in the past. I feel like a couple of weeks back, I think I made a comment along the lines of Todd Haley's the type of guy who's going to make you want to put your head in a wall a lot. But one of the things I have always said about Todd Haley is that the good outweighs the bad. As I have pointed out before, the offensive line play has improved under him. Ben Roethlisberger is taking fewer hits than ever. Ben Roethlisberger is also getting the ball out quicker. Todd Haley has great vision for wide receivers. There's a heavier emphasis on the run game as well. You have to be 100% honest about Todd Haley. He has done some good things. But I want to give you guys an analogy for how Todd Haley's brain works. And it is a mathematical analogy. This is the best way I know how to describe how this man thinks. Present Todd Haley with a division problem. 978 divided by 602. Whoa, I know what you're thinking. Holy cow, man, that's a really difficult division problem. Well, yes, it is a very difficult division problem. It's the kind of division problem that will probably require you to get out a calculator or a pen and paper and do some very, very long division. But here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Todd Haley will solve that problem. He will solve that equation, no problem. However, present Todd Haley with 1 + 1. A very, very simple equation, one that I think everybody can solve. But this, ladies and gentlemen, is how Todd Haley's brain works when you present him with this equation. It can't be 2. No, it's too simple. It's a trick. They want us to think it's 2, but it's not really 2. 1 + 1 must be 3. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how Todd Haley's brain works in a nutshell. 2 different times in the same football game. 2 different times you had 4th and less than a yard. Less than a yard. And what does Todd Haley do with both of those plays? He not only calls horrific plays, he takes the ball off the line of scrimmage on both of them. Guys, maybe I'm just weird, maybe I'm just old school, but I believe it was John Madden, and I'm more or less paraphrasing, I'm not going to get the exact quote right, but I believe it was John Madden, back when he was a head coach for the Raiders, who said that when you have a 3rd and 1 or a 4th and 1 or an inches type of situation, you don't ever take the ball off the line of scrimmage. And ladies and gentlemen, that's my philosophy on those plays. I think it's common sense, but maybe I'm just weird. You know, when you have less than a yard to go, I've always kind of felt like that, I don't know, a quarterback sneak, maybe a simple run up the middle, something like that. The first time it happened, the first time they were in a 4th and short situation, less than a yard, they called a jet sweep. A jet sweep. We're talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars here, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about one of the most athletic, one of the speediest defenses, if not the speediest defense in pro football right now, and you called a jet sweep. Now, here's the thing, though. Later on in the game, you're presented with another 4th and less than a yard. Now, here's the thing, man. Todd Haley screwed up the first time, but there's no way he's going to let it happen a second time. He has a chance to redeem himself here. Right? No. How about a play action? How about a play action and you throw a deep crossing route? You throw a pass for Juju Smith-Schuster, who is running a deep crossing route. Now, yes, I know what some of you are going to want to comment and say. You're going to want to say, but Patrick, A.J. Bouye held him. Guys, I don't care that A.J. Bouye held him. I don't care. And yes, Bouye did hold him. It was a blatant hold. The officials missed it. Yes, I was upset about that. But you want to know what I thought the more time went on after that play? You deserve to fail on that 4th down play. You deserve to not have that holding call. When you have another, in the same football game, you have another 4th and less than a yard, and you call a passing play, taking the ball off the line of scrimmage, you should fail on that play. Once again, guys, how about a simple run up the middle? How about, Le'Veon Bell is 6'1", 220. This is not a 5'9" little twerp. This is a big-bodied, brutal running back. What about a simple run up the middle to him? Not to mention he's the best running back in pro football. Is that too hard? Or how about this one, ladies and gentlemen? They did not run a quarterback sneak. But Patrick, we're not really good on quarterback sneaks. Really? Really? That's what you think? Ladies and gentlemen, did you know that Ben Roethlisberger is 17 of 18 in his career on quarterback sneaks? 17 of 18. Also, I found this interesting stat today, and by the way, I don't want to plagiarize. This does not come from me. This comes from Mark Kaberle. Those of you that follows the Steelers closely and reporters and beat writers, Mark Kaberle is a beat writer for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's been covering the Steelers for years for a number of outfits. He's fantastic. You ought to go follow him on Twitter. He's great. This tweet comes from him. I want you to listen very closely, ladies and gentlemen. This really puts some things into perspective. Kaberle points out, the Steelers have called 8 quarterback sneaks for Ben Roethlisberger in Todd Haley's 6 years as offensive coordinator, but none over Roethlisberger's past 40 games. That's over 2 seasons, ladies and gentlemen. Roethlisberger has converted 7 of 8 into first downs under Todd Haley. He's converted 7 of 8 under Haley, and he's converted 17 of 18 in his career. It is for this reason, ladies and gentlemen, that I have officially changed my mind on Todd Haley. I am saying it right now. I do believe that Todd Haley should be relieved of his duties as Steelers offensive coordinator. I want to be clear about this. I think Todd Haley's overall concepts, his overall schemes, his overall designs, his overall vision of how an offense is supposed to run is successful. I mean, seriously, I really, really believe that. But here's the thing, man. Football is a game of microscopic details. It comes down to those little critical moments. And I'm sure if you've been watching football long enough, you've heard the phrase, football is a game of inches. And in this case, literally a game of inches. In this game, it was. You can be 13-3 all you want. You can boast about how many yards per game we put up. You can boast about where we rank for top overall offense in the league. You can boast those numbers all you want, ladies and gentlemen. But if you can't convert fourth and less than a yard twice in the same football game, I could care less about your other statistics. The next thing on our list of things to talk about is turnovers. Now, there's about 987 reasons why we lost this football game, but one of the biggest reasons out of those 987 was turnovers. You cannot turn the football over in playoff football, ladies and gentlemen. Playoff football is just different. The tempo's different. Everything is different about it. You can't turn the football over in the playoffs. Well, the Steelers turned it over twice in this game. Twice. And the Jaguars scored touchdowns off of both of those turnovers. If you don't turn the ball over twice in this game, there's 14 points off the board for the Jaguars right there. The first turnover came in the first quarter. Ben Roethlisberger throws an interception to Myles Jack. The pass was intended for Vance McDonald. To kind of discuss this play now, what happens here, it was totally Ben Roethlisberger's fault. Now, look, Myles Jack made an exceptional play. He made a very athletic play, the way he extended, popped the ball up in the air, and then the way he was able to catch the ball and keep his feet in bounds there by the sideline. Exceptional play by Myles Jack. All the credit in the world to him. But at the end of the day, this was Ben Roethlisberger's fault. There's two errors that Ben has here. Number one, the overall decision to throw to Vance McDonald was not smart. Vance McDonald did not have a ton of separation on Myles Jack to begin with. The second problem here is that Ben Roethlisberger does not lead him enough. He does not lead him enough to the sideline. He throws the ball slightly behind Vance McDonald, just slightly. But that slight throw behind McDonald allowed Myles Jack to get his hands in there, tip the ball up, and make a play on the ball. So not a good play by Roethlisberger. The next turnover came in the second quarter. It was pretty shortly before the half. Ben Roethlisberger did something that he has been doing for years, and it's one of his greatest strengths, but it's also one of his greatest weaknesses, as we saw in this game. Ben Roethlisberger has a bad habit of holding on to the ball too long, and again, it's something that he's done for years, and at times we have seen him hold on to the ball too long and extend plays and do something miraculous. But then there's those times where he holds on too long and the play breaks down, the pocket collapses, he takes a really bad sack, or in this case, gets hit, ball comes out, Jags recover, and take it all the way back for a touchdown. Now, here's the thing, guys. I'm an honest guy. Were both of these turnovers ultimately Ben Roethlisberger's fault? Yes, they were. They were. But if you think I'm going to sit here on my show tonight and say that the reason we lost this football game is because of Ben Roethlisberger, you are horribly, horribly mistaken. Folks, Ben Roethlisberger was the only reason we stayed in this football game. He is the only reason why we had a chance to win this game. While the defense was over there struggling to do anything right, Ben Roethlisberger picked this football team up, put it on his shoulders, and kept us alive. He threw for nearly 500 yards again through 5 touchdowns. 5 touchdowns. 4 out of those 5 touchdowns were deep balls. 2 of those touchdowns went to none other than Antonio Brown. Folks, oh, man. Antonio Brown comes into this game with an illness, and not only does he have an illness, he has a less than 100% calf muscle, a torn calf muscle that was not all the way healed. And he somehow, some way comes into this game, makes 2 miraculous touchdown catches, one with one hand as he's falling down, has 7 catches for 132 yards. Guys, I saw one of those NFL beat writers. It might have been Bucky Brooks. I can't remember which one it was. It's kind of irrelevant. But they tweeted yesterday, and it was such a true tweet. The tweet said, list of wide receivers that are better than Antonio Brown. Jerry Rice. There is so much truth in that tweet, ladies and gentlemen. The only other receiver in the National Football League, both playing right now and in the past, who comes close to Antonio Brown is Jerry Rice. Don't throw Terrell Owens at me. Don't throw Marvin Harrison at me. Don't throw AJ, Julio. Odell, any of them. Don't throw any of them at me. You know, Randy Moss, there is no other receiver who you can say in the same sentence with Antonio Brown. And personally, I feel very bad for that guy because as outstanding of a receiver as he is, and outstanding is an understatement. That's not even the right adjective to describe him. For a guy who is this good, for a guy who is this great and this special, he deserves a ring. This guy deserves a Super Bowl ring to go along with the accolades already. But he was great in this game, and those two throws were great throws as well. Then you had the 4th and 11 ballsy throw to Martavis Bryant. The balls on Ben Roethlisberger for this throw. I mean, it's a 4th down and 11 situation, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, just try to get those 11 yards or something close to it. No, Ben Roethlisberger goes for it all. And there's so many things about this play that were amazing. Folks, there was a cluster of guys in the end zone. There was a lot of traffic there in that end zone. He puts the ball in the back of the end zone, the only place where there is space to work with, the only place where Bryant would be able to make a clean catch. Roethlisberger puts it right there, right on the money. Same thing with the Le'Veon Bell touchdown pass. That was a throw where the ball had to be perfectly placed in order for the receiver to make the catch. And not to take anything away from Le'Veon Bell, because Bell made an exceptional catch as well. But I'm just saying, that was one of those plays where the quarterback must throw a perfect pass. That's exactly what he did. And it's, just a sad, sad thing. But Ben Roethlisberger had arguably one of the most special games of his professional football career. Nearly 500 yards, 5 touchdowns, and it comes in a loss. By the way, Ben Roethlisberger is the first quarterback in NFL history to throw that many yards and 5 touchdowns in a postseason game and still lose. That's heartbreaking to me. But on top of all that, ladies and gentlemen, Ben Roethlisberger announced that he will be returning for the 2018 season. He says that he is looking forward to it and that he is excited about it. And to that I say, hallelujah. Moving on to the defensive side of the football. Ladies and gentlemen, if you think I'm going to sit here on my show tonight and just say that Todd Haley is the only one who needs to lose his job, you're horribly mistaken. The Steelers need to move on from Todd Haley. I'm willing to admit that. I'm finally sold on that. But folks, do not fire Todd Haley and not fire Keith Butler. In fact, I would argue you should probably fire Keith Butler way before you fire Todd Haley. I want to ask my subscribers a question. When you think of defensive coordinators, what do you think of? You think of identities. You think of something that they're known for. I'll throw out an example. Wade Phillips. When you think about Wade Phillips, a Wade Phillips coach defense, what comes to mind? Well, I'll tell you exactly what comes to mind. An identity comes to mind. Something that he's known for comes to mind. Heavy pressure, but pressure primarily with 3- and 4-man pass rushes, dropping 7 or 8 into coverage, playing extremely tight zone coverage and a whole lot of man-to-man and press man coverage. That's Wade Phillips, and you probably all could have answered that question. Why? Because you know Wade Phillips. He's known for this. He has an identity. Not to mention, in base run defense, a heavily crowded box with all gaps accounted for. A Wade Phillips original. But consider Keith Butler for just a second. Ladies and gentlemen, what's Keith Butler known for? You're probably sitting there at your computer or your phone right now going, if you're having to think about it, that's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. With Keith Butler, you have a defense that is extremely inconsistent and shaky, and a defense that has no identity whatsoever. And no, it is not a personnel thing. Yes, there are areas where we are lacking in on our defense, but we have great players on this defense. We have some big playmakers. It's not a personnel problem. It is a coaching problem. But maybe you're one of those people who is not totally convinced that Keith Butler should lose his job. So I'll do my best to sell you tonight. First time we played the Jacksonville Jaguars, we allowed 30 points at our field, Heinz Field. We allowed 30 points to that team. Downright embarrassing, right? Now, surely the second time around, we're not going to allow 30 points. I mean, we're not going to let this happen again. No, it won't be 30 the second time around. It's going to be 45 the second time around. How about that? And for the second consecutive time, you allow that many points in your stadium. So you're still not convinced? Okay. How about this? I'll present it this way. Coming into this game, what was the biggest key to victory for the Pittsburgh Steelers? We didn't just talk about it here on my show. Everybody across the board was talking about it. The Steelers cannot let history repeat itself. We have to stop the run. First time we played the Jaguars, Leonard Fournette had his way with this defense. He ran all over us. Well, coming into the second matchup, our assignment is pretty clear. Don't let this happen again. We must stop the run. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, we give Leonard Fournette the keys to the entire city. Now, yes, he didn't run for 190 or 180 or whatever he ran for the first time, but he did have 25 carries for 109 yards and 3 touchdowns. Want to know the best part, ladies and gentlemen? He played the second half with a bad ankle. So you're still not convinced. You're still on the Keith Butler bandwagon, okay? How does the stat 8 of 14 on third down sound to you? Sound good? You think the fact that we allowed them to go 8 of 14 on third downs is acceptable in a playoff game? You're still on the Keith Butler bandwagon, I hear. Okay, maybe this one will push you over the edge. How do you like the stat 5 of 5 in the red zone? Jaguars went down into the Steelers' red zone 5 times. They converted all 5 of them. We didn't stop them one time. You still like Keith Butler? Now, hopefully at this point in the video, I have convinced you that Keith Butler needs to be unemployed. But if for some weird reason you're still on his side, let me just put the dagger in your heart. Ladies and gentlemen, you can doctor this game up any way you want to. You can paint any picture you want to, but the reality is this. Our defense got dominated by Blake Bortles. We made Blake Bortles look like a quarterback that he is not. Blake Bortles did not have an exceptional game, ladies and gentlemen. His numbers were not overwhelming, but they also were not numbers that you typically see out of him. Blake Bortles goes 14 of 26 for 214 yards. He averaged 8.2 yards per pass. That's an important number because the week before against the Buffalo Bills, he averaged 3.8 yards per pass. And by the way, they were playing at home. He threw a touchdown pass and he did not throw a single interception. And here's the other thing about Blake Bortles, guys. He won the moments. In those big, critical, must-have moments, this guy came in clutch and he got the job done. How about the massive third down in the fourth quarter? He scrambles outside the pocket and picks up a gain of 16 using his legs. I mean, really, that was a game-altering play. Or how about the big one, the 45-yarder to Keelan Cole. This was a perfectly thrown football, and he puts the ball in a great place for Cole to make an easy catch. Another massive moment that he won. Now, I totally believe that if Artie Burns would have been able to locate the football, I think he might have been able to make a play on the football, but he did not. And Artie Burns is very worthy of criticism on that play, and we're going to have a separate episode in the future talking about Artie Burns. But, guys, I don't think Artie Burns had a terrible football game. He had 3 pass breakups in this game. Now, once again, football comes down to those critical moments, especially in the playoffs. Burns did not excel in that area. But long story short is this. Bortles won that moment. He made that big critical play when he had to make it. And then the touchdown pass that ultimately sealed the game. This was just an outstanding play call. I mean, you have got to give the Jaguars offensive coordinator credit. They had been torching the Steelers with the play action all day long. And like a dog chasing the steak, we bit down on it every single time. The defense bites down on the play action. Bohannon goes right up the middle. Nobody even sees him, and Bortles has an easy touchdown pass. Another big critical must-have moment that Blake Bortles wins. So whatever you want to say about Blake Bortles, oh, he's a terrible quarterback, he's a joke. And you want to know something, guys? All those statements are probably true. He's not that good of a quarterback at all. But here's the reality. He was good enough to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers defense yesterday. He made the big plays when he had to. He won the big moments. So a word of advice to you Steelers fans, I'd hold back the trash talking if I were you. Oh, and if you want that little cherry on top of the cake, we did not sack Blake Bortles one time. Not one single sack. I am sick and tired as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I'm sick and tired over these last couple of years. I'm tired of having a mediocre defense. I'm sick and tired of it. There was a time, ladies and gentlemen, where the Pittsburgh Steelers defense was not just good. Good was an understatement. We were feared. Teams were afraid to play the Pittsburgh Steelers because of how dominant our defense was. We struck that much fear into our opponents. We had the era of the Steel Curtain in the 1970s, and that lasted into the 1980s. And then in the 1990s and the early 2000s, we had Blitzburg. Pittsburgh. But regardless of the nickname that we had at the time, we were a dominant defense that terrified people. We seemed unstoppable. We seemed impenetrable. And now we are none of those things. We're the defense that loses to Blake Bortles at home for a second time. It's a cliche statement, but it's actually not that cliche at all because it's true. Defense wins championships, ladies and gentlemen. And I will tell you this right now. The Pittsburgh Steelers will not win their 7th Lombardi, nor will we rebuild our defense as long as Keith Butler is in control. It's time for this man to go away. And last but not least, Mike Tomlin, you're next in line, buddy. Unlike Haley and Butler, I do not believe that Mike Tomlin needs to be fired. As I've said many times on this show, I am a big Mike Tomlin fan. I'm a big Mike Tomlin supporter. That does not exempt him from criticism, as we're about to see, but I do not believe Mike Tomlin needs to be fired. The Steelers have proved under the leadership of Mike Tomlin that we can reach a Super Bowl. We have reached a Super Bowl twice under Mike Tomlin. We've won one of those Super Bowls. So firing him is not the answer. But like I said, this does not exempt Mike Tomlin from criticism because as bad as Keith Butler and Todd Haley were, Mike Tomlin was just as bad. The Steelers have just cut the Jaguars' lead to 42-35. There is 2 minutes, 18 seconds remaining in this game. Here's what you're looking at. The Steelers have 2 timeouts, folks. But in reality, they have 3 when you think about it because they have the 2-minute warning. Now, we are entering the world of hypotheticals and ifs here. And what we're going to do is we are going to compare the hypotheticals and the ifs. Which big if, which big hypothetical has a greater chance of working? Possibility number 1 in this situation is this. You kick the ball off to the Jaguars. The Jaguars take over with 2 minutes and 18 seconds to go. Now, the Jaguars are going to come out on this drive and they are going to be running the football. There's no other possibility. Why would they come out and pass on this drive? Why? Now, on the first play of this drive, like I said, you're expecting them to run. You stop Fournette. Hopefully you can get a stop. The clock winds down to 2 minutes. You didn't have to burn a timeout there. The 2-minute warning took care of that for you. You come out on second down and hopefully you get another stop. Use your second timeout. At this point, we're at third down. You're hoping right here you can get a stop. If you stop the Jaguars here on third down, you burn another timeout, and then it's fourth down. On this fourth down, it's not like the Jaguars can camp there in the backfield and let some time run down and take a delay of game. No, the time has stopped. You must punt the ball back to the Steelers here. Now, once again, a lot of big ifs, a lot of big hypotheticals there, but I don't know about you guys, but I think that possibility makes sense. You then have possibility number 2. You could onside kick it. Onside kicks, usually 90% of the time or more, just don't work. So you have to factor that in. But not only do onside kicks have a high chance of not working, you have to consider the risk and the reward here. If it does not work, which it most likely is not going to, not only do you give the ball back to the Jaguars, but you give it to them at the 50-yard line or into your territory close to field goal range. So I will ask you, ladies and gentlemen, which possibility seems better? Which one do you think probably will lead to a more successful outcome? Choice A or choice B? I'm going to assume that well over 95% of you said choice A. But Tomlin goes with choice B. He elects to onside kick it. He chooses an option that has a low chance of working already, but one that if you fail creates a nearly hopeless situation. Once again, as the narrative has been all episode long, bad situational coaching. And the thing that really just I hate about it is these are the moments that you can't get back. You don't get do-overs. I want to start wrapping this episode up. Final thoughts before I end it. Folks, the 2017/18 season for the Pittsburgh Steelers was a failure. Yes, it was a failure. If you're looking for a Steelers-based YouTube channel that says, oh, well, yay team, we'll get them next year, and you want a YouTube channel that, you know, where we pat ourselves on the back and we celebrate the moral victories and everything is all fine and hunky-dory, this is not the YouTube channel for you. I suggest you stop watching, and I suggest you hit the unsubscribe button. This was hands down one of the worst losses in Pittsburgh Steelers history, ladies and gentlemen, and I understand that statement has a lot of weight to it. The Pittsburgh Steelers have been around since 1933. That is 85 years, 85 long years, and I will say definitively that in our 85-year history, this will go down as one of the most embarrassing, one of the most pathetic losses that we have ever had. And going back to where I said the season was a failure, I 100% mean it. What, guys? You want me to sit here and talk about the 13-3 record? You want me to talk about how we won the AFC North and got a first-round bye? You want me to celebrate those little moral victories? What does any of that matter right now? None of that matters right now. If you guys are into moral victories, celebrating the little moral victories, here's what I suggest you do. I suggest you take every bit of Steelers memorabilia you have, every Steelers jersey, t-shirt, hat, whatever, anything Steelers you own, put it on Amazon, put it on eBay, and sell it. And take the money that you get off of those sales and go buy yourself a Houston Texans jersey. Go buy yourself a Miami Dolphins jersey. Go buy yourself a Jets or a Browns jersey, for crying out loud. This is the Pittsburgh Steelers, ladies and gentlemen. We don't celebrate moral victories. We win Super Bowls. We win Lombardi trophies. We did not win more Super Bowls than any other team in NFL history. Six Super Bowls. We have more Super Bowls than anybody else out there. We didn't win those 6 Super Bowls by celebrating the moral victories. We won those 6 Super Bowls because we have standards unlike anybody else. We have the highest standards imaginable, and high standards are what it takes to win Super Bowls. So you can go 13-3 all you want. You can win your division, you can get your first round bye, but it doesn't mean anything. In Pittsburgh, we win Lombardi trophies. There's a little phrase that we have in Pittsburgh. If you've been a fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers for a long time, you're probably well aware of it. It originated years and years and years ago. And it's a very simple statement, but it's one of the deepest statements you'll ever hear. The standard is the standard. And what is the standard we're referring to? Lombardi trophies. That's the standard. Folks, I'm not sitting here saying that I didn't have a fun year, that this wasn't a fun season. This was a very fun season. Some incredible memories were made this year, memories that I will never forget as long as I exist. We did have a lot of great things happen this year. But at the end of the day, guys, we're the Pittsburgh Steelers. Did we win a Super Bowl? The answer is no. So yes, this season was a failure. Remember, guys, follow us on Twitter. We are at SCurtainCall33. Remember to like our Facebook page, facebook.com/The Steel Curtain Call. Remember to subscribe here to our YouTube channel. And like I said, guys, if you want exclusive videos that you cannot get anywhere else, patreon.com/The Steel Curtain Call. The link's in the description. It's only $1 a month. And like I said, you control the videos. You tell me what to do, and I do your bidding. That's how it works. All right, guys, that's it for this episode. We'll be back. The Steelers are going to have an extremely busy offseason. Things are about to get very, very interesting for us in this offseason. We're not going to discuss that for probably another week. I'm not going to do an episode this week unless something groundbreaking happens. We'll be back here on the show, but I don't want to talk about 2018 right now. It's the funniest thing watching all these beat writers and these reporters and these other sites talk about draft needs, biggest offseason needs, and I'm like, how can anybody be considering that right now? We will have many, many episodes here in the coming weeks about the Pittsburgh Steelers offseason. There is a ton, and I mean a ton of things to discuss. The Pittsburgh Steelers could be a radically different looking team in 2018. But I'm not ready to talk about that. I'm still grieving. I have not adjusted to this loss, and frankly, I'm not ever going to adjust to this loss. This one hurts badly. So for that reason, we're going to post this episode. I'm going to leave it up on the channel for a little bit. Let it sit there, let it kind of fester. And we'll be back when we're back. Probably, I'd say a week from now, but yeah, we're gonna just sit on this and pout for a while. Thank you guys for everything. Thank you guys for making this season really, really cool, really special. I started the show back in October, and in a very short period of time, we're already well above 400 subscribers now. I really, really appreciate it, guys. This is not the end. This is not the end of the Steel Curtain Call, but thank you guys for everything this season.